alcohol addictions can be extremely difficult to overcome. In fact, some people never actually overcome an alcohol addiction. Addiction can completely ruin a person's life. Many addicts lose the support of their family because the addiction has entirely taken over the addict's life, causing them to put the addiction before their family and pushing their family out of the way. And support is a huge part on the road to recovery. Thankfully, there are some programs dedicated to help addicts overcome their greatest challenge. But how successful are these programs really? And are they helping more people than they aren't? Like Autumn had talked about, sponsors are a huge part of Alcoholics Anonymous programs. Sponsors assist other members in the group in completing the 12-step program that Amber discussed. Alcoholics Anonymous can be a huge life changer for a successful addict. Overcoming an addiction doesn't just happen overnight. In fact, once a person is addicted to a substance, they're always considered to be an addict to that substance. An addict needs to put their successes before everything else and work hard every day to refrain from using alcohol, because every single day presents a new challenge, and addicts oftentimes relapse and start their addiction all over again. Because so many addicts relapse, Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't necessarily have the best success rate. It's oftentimes said that the program has around a 5% success rate. However, according to Dr. Drew Pinsky, this number is slightly higher, possibly between 8 and 10%. The American Society of Addiction Medicine states that about 10% of the individuals who join a 12-step program recover. However, the New York Times is much more generous with this number. They actually suggest that Alcoholics Anonymous has a much higher success rating of around about 75%. This number is extremely difficult to measure, simply because it's an anonymous group. Asking members to contribute their successes actually kind of violates the anonymous aspect of the group. Most members prefer to stay anonymous, and others just don't want to admit to their relapses. According to the American Addiction Centers, a study conducted by Alcoholics Anonymous in 2014 showed that about 27% of more than 6,000 who participated in the study were sober for less than a year. In addition to that, 24% of those participants were sober from 1 to 5 years, while 13% were sober 5 to 10 years. 14% of the participants were sober 10 to 20 years, and 22% were sober for more than 20 years. I would certainly consider that to be fairly successful, especially when you take into account how difficult an addiction can actually be to overcome. There's a reason that people don't just overcome this overnight. It's hard. It's extremely hard. And support in this, difficult time in a person's life is absolutely crucial. But how long does a person need to be in an AA program to be the most successful? Again, because of the anonymous aspect of the group, these numbers are difficult to come up with. These numbers are only coming from those who offered to submit their information into a study. Most of these studies basically concluded that the more meetings an addict attended, the longer that they were in the AA group, the more likely they were to stay sober. The AA group is essentially a support group, offering suggestions on how to overcome an addiction and what really works best for others. It also offers an open ear, which creates support for an addict, which is huge. When a person feels they have someone standing behind them, helping to push towards recovery, they feel supported. And addiction is difficult to overcome. I'll say it time and time again, which is why this program is so crucial. Having support is a huge part on the road to recovery. Alcoholics Anonymous it's a great program that's used by millions of addicts. There are over 115,000 groups in the United States. That's amazing. We need these groups because there's so many alcoholics in the United States that don't necessarily get the assistance and the help that they need. But what if this particular way doesn't necessarily work for somebody? What if they need another alternative to help them get on that road to recovery? Are there other alternatives? Crystal's going to go ahead and educate us on some other programs and some other alternatives that help addicts.